chilling. You know what? I think I'm gonna do something different, and I'm gonna tell you why. Right? I've been giving advice so long that I think I don't want to be boxed into just giving advice anymore. Meaning, like, I think that's one of the things I'm gonna do for the new year. I'm gonna start doing different shit. Like, okay, giving advice is a part of like the toolbox, so to speak, and that's how I'm looking at it. Meaning, like, if you were someone that gives a fuck and needs me to give you a personal perspective on something, I don't mind doing it. But just far as like my ties to it, I'm not gonna be tied to it the same way anymore. Right? I'm not gonna be hooking myself to like telling motherfuckers what they want to, the things they need to hear to help. Like, not only that, but giving advice is one of those things that's so subjective. It's like it's become this thing where it's like, the typical marriage is not the thing anymore. I mean, people are married, and then there's people that, want to be stay-at-home moms, or, people that, there's women that want to be career women. There's women, people just have different things going on in their lives and shit. Right? So, again, one of my thoughts on it right this second is that, personally, if you need me to tell you something personally, I'm more than obligated to. But with that being said, what I'm really here for is I want to talk about Squid Game Season 2. That is the first thing on my mind this morning. Like, again, I want to take this channel in a whole different direction. There's other shit to talk about. like the life is so multifaceted that I can talk about other shit. And I know I'm looking big as shit in here. Anyway, I want to talk about Squid Game Season 2, right? And this isn't like a review, but it's just my thoughts on it. And the first one that comes to mind, right? One thing I'm noticing about Squid Game Season 2 is that it's, do I want to call it divisive? I think divisive would be a stretch. I put it like this, right? You got to have some patience to watch it. You really do. I'm noticing that motherfuckers that are not patient are not necessarily fucking with it. Because my homeboy Jay was trying to watch the shit, and he was like, the shit was taking too long to get somewhere. He's like, this shit going on the shelf, dude. And it's his words, not mine, right? He's like, that shit's going on the shelf. And I can see why, right? Because the thing with Squid Game Season 2 is that Squid Game Season 2 had an expectation, whereas Squid Game Season 1 was just some shit you ran across on Netflix that just happened to take over the planet. You know what I mean? Squid Game Season 2, people had an expectation of it, right? But the thing that Squid Game Season 2 did that didn't do that Squid Game Season 1 did is that they didn't get straight to the motherfucking work. Like, okay, episode 1, and spoiler alert, for motherfuckers that may or may not be watching, whatever, right? Episode 1, you really could have took episode 1 and episode 2 and condensed them into one episode, right? They spent too much time putting the plot together, if you ask me. That's just my personal take on it. Your take may be different, right? They spent way too much time putting the motherfucking the plot together. They could have shoved those first 2 episodes together. The next thing, right? The next thought that comes to my head. I think one of the mistakes they made with Squid Game Season 2 is that as far as games are concerned, they let off with that red light, green light shit. Now listen, I like red light, green light from Season 1. That was one of the ones that fucked me up, and I get why, right? I get why they did it. It's probably familiar, but did niggas really want to watch the same shit again when we already knew what was coming? Like, I can see how that would be off-putting to someone that was like already seen the first season. Like I'm saying, like, okay, again, I think Season 2 takes a little bit of committing to watch it. Even though the season's shorter, the episodes are longer, and it's like the first game starts off the same. I mean, it pretty much ends up with the guy, player 456, trying to go back into the shit all the way again to stop the guys, right? He's trying to stop these niggas from the game altogether, and these motherfuckers. Listen, the thing with Squid Game Season 2, like, the motherfucking players in this, I hate the players in this. Like, Squid Game Season 2, every one of these motherfuckers deserve to get killed. I'm not gonna lie to you. And reason why I say that, right? Spoiler alert again, right? After each game they play, these motherfuckers get a chance to vote, right? And that's another point about it, right? What type of debt is in fucking Japan? Them niggas owed million. Like, listen, these motherfuckers was like, okay, the way this shit worked, after each game, the total earnings get, put into the big pig that's hanging from the ceiling. And the motherfuckers in the red suits with the motherfucking PlayStation controller buttons on their face, right? These niggas talking about some, okay, so if you split the shit evenly amongst everybody that was left, that, out of everybody that got killed, everybody, like, they would, like, say, for example, like, the winning would be, like, each person leaves with 75 million. This is what they're saying, right? These motherfuckers in Squid Game are on some type of shit. Well, they was like, man, 75 million ain't enough. I was like, what? Like, what type of debt are you motherfuckers in? And then it's like, there's the one part of it where the dude that was like, the crypto guy, he fucked everybody over before they all got there. So everybody in that motherfucker's like, nah, I gotta play another game. And player 456 is trying to tell these motherfuckers, like, dog, it's only gonna get worse. And that's exactly what happened. Now, I'll say this, right? Outside of the first game, red light, green light, the games are a lot better, but they're less games, if that makes sense. Like, okay, if they'd have made like 4 more games in comparison to, I think, the 3 or 4 let's see, what was it? There was the carousel. I can't remember all the games on the top of my head. It was the carousel one I remember distinctively. That shit was nuts, right? Oh, the one where they had to run around in circles and fucking do those games and stop and, and be tied at the shackles. That shit was pretty dope. But those are the only 2 I remember, right? So the games in this were better, but it was less. So I can see how season 2 is a lot more divisive. What they're saying, season 3 is going to come out, next year, which next year is tomorrow. But, it's one of those things. If you're someone that's not very patient, I would say watch it in 30-minute pieces. Because again, I think what Squid Game season 2 did wrong is that they could have. Personally, I like the season, but I'm someone that can sit through 6 seasons of anime. Like, okay, I'm someone, if I commit to watching, like, okay, I think one of the things I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back and finish the Menendez brothers doc. Like, I like where that was going. I just got busy and forgot to do it, right? Not only that, but Netflix is like, Netflix is trying to become like the single conglomerate TV thing. Like, okay, one of the biggest things I'm looking forward to is, Monday Night Raw coming to Netflix. So that's going to be one of the big nuggets for me, right? But anyway, I don't want to sidetrack. These motherfuckers... Again, when I tell you everybody in this show deserved to get shot, like, this Squid Game season 2, it's a trip, but it's a trip for the right and the wrong reasons. Okay, it's a slow burn. It really is a slow burn. You have to really have some patience to watch this shit, right? Okay, if you're. It's almost like your favorite rapper on their second, third album. It's like you kind of expect a certain thing from them, and you kind of have to, okay, when I pick up music these days, right? If I listen to like an album or something these days, right? What I do is I skim through it real quick. Like, I might listen to a song for 30 seconds, because I'm looking for beats that I like. Because if I'm checking out your album, I already like you as a rapper, right? But how's the production? Do you sound good over the production? Does the production sound right? Am I gonna like this shit again? Because you only get one. You only get one time to make a first impression. Okay, next thing that comes to my mind, right? And I don't know if this is a good or bad thing. Player 456 should have been got killed. Like, look, I get the idea of a protagonist, but okay. I guess the best way I can compare it to, right, is when Roman Reigns went on that fucking 1,300-day run as fucking WWE champion. Every time I watched a Roman Reigns match, I always knew the result of it. Because I knew this nigga wasn't going to lose. Like, I knew, okay, being a wrestling fan is kind of like it's kind of a weird experience because like, okay, I do want to watch the match, but I don't like the. It's almost like sometimes I don't like the predictability of it. Like, meaning like, okay, I know player 456 is not gonna get killed, so it kind of takes the win out of it. Like in season 1, there was like he was the protagonist, but it felt like he could die, if that makes sense. I kind of know he's not like, okay. Even when there's a point in the season, I think it might have been episode 7, when they flip on the whole organization of the Squid Game episode, right? This motherfucker, he leads this charge against all the PlayStation face motherfuckers, and they're just running through this motherfucking building, shooting everybody the fuck up. And there's a point where everybody runs out of ammo. The big boss catches player 456 at the end of it, right? He got a gun to his face. I mean, like right up to him. It's like, and then he turns and kills his best friend, and it's like, all right, I know what y'all doing, but it's like, realistically speaking, I know this is a game show, but like, okay, who has that type of luck though to survive all this shit? Like, didn't make, like, okay, I get him trying to stop the game, but at the same time, nigga, if you made it out of that motherfucking organization, you should, personally, me, I'd have left them niggas alone. Like, I don't know, but I just, the whole player 456 living through everything kind of does and doesn't work for me. I don't hate it. But it's like, you know, it doesn't feel like this motherfucker. Like, every time I saw him on screen, I was like, okay, well, I kind of fast forward this part, I'm not going to lie to you, because I knew he was going to live. Like, and I guess to wrap all this up, my last point, right? I like the antagonist. I'm someone that likes a good heel. Again, I'm a wrestling fan, so I gravitate to heels. I gravitate to bad guys. I've always been like that. I gravitate to villains. The dude with the purple hair, and then the dude that's like, I mean, if you watch the season, you know what I'm talking about. The guy that's like, you know, pretending to be player 456's friend, but he's not the best friend. Like, okay, like if you ever get to the point where they do the carousel game, the guy that snaps the dude's neck inside the carousel game, that guy, right? I like it. I like a good antagonist, right? But dude with the purple hair, he's getting this shit off. That, oh my God, he kept popping beans, and that man was having the time of his life. You gotta watch it, man. I mean, you don't have to. You do what you want to do, right? But again, if you ask me overall what I think, I enjoyed it. I just think there's you could have added more games to it. You could have condensed down the first 2 episodes. Those are really my complaints, honestly. Because once they get into once episode 3 rolls around, that's when the shit get busy, right? But all that, like, okay, the subplot of like trying to find the game, you can show a lot less of that. Like, okay, I don't need like 30 minutes of niggas riding on boats looking for the building. I'm good on that. And then it takes away from the shit that you could be doing otherwise with the motherfucking season. But whatever, that's just me complaining. I mean, I'm not like a fucking movie buff, so I don't know everything. I'm just telling you shit that I think when I see shit. These are just my thoughts that roll around. But I mean, I do recommend it. Check it out. I mean, if you have time, watch it. You know what I mean? But, you know, this was something I've been wanting to do. I've been wanting to take my channel in a different direction. Like, I'm not here like always. Oh my God, it gets so nerve-wracking. I'm almost becoming really turned off to watching people argue about men and women shit on Facebook, just for women to not listen and for men to not, like, their points not to be heard and vice versa. And then hearing girls come on like that shit what y'all doing when y'all stopping girls in the street and asking them what they think. I really wish that would come to an abrupt end. Like, because what girl's gonna tell you the truth? Like, or not even the truth, but just like give you like an answer that makes sense. They're gonna flex for the camera. But those are my thoughts. Y'all do with that information what you will.